Have you ever wondered about the story behind Kenya, a land famous for its stunning savannas and incredible wildlife? Its history is just as epic, a tale stretching back to the very dawn of humanity. Let's journey through time together and uncover the story of Kenya. Our story begins millions of years ago, right here in the Great Rift Valley. This is where some of the earliest human ancestors walked the earth, earning Kenya the title Cradle of Mankind. Archaeologists have unearthed fossil remains that tell the incredible story of our evolution. Fossils of species like Australopithecus and Homo habilis. These discoveries remind us that Kenya's soil holds the secrets to our shared human origins. Fast forward thousands of years. Diverse communities of pastoralists and farmers began to settle across the land, each with their own unique languages and traditions. The Maasai, the Kikuyu, the Luo, and many others established deep connections to the land, creating a rich tapestry of cultures that still thrives today. Then, along the sun-drenched coast, a new chapter unfolded. From the 8th century onwards, Arab and Persian traders sailed across the Indian Ocean, drawn by the promise of trade. They brought spices, textiles, and their Islamic faith, blending with the local Bantu cultures. This fusion gave birth to the Swahili civilization, a network of powerful and sophisticated city-states. Imagine bustling ports like Mombasa, Lamu, and Malindi. Dhows with their iconic triangular sails filled the harbours, carrying gold, ivory, and mangrove poles. The Swahili people built magnificent cities with coral stone houses, grand mosques, and intricate wood carvings. They developed their own language, Kiswahili, a beautiful blend of Bantu and Arabic that would one day become a unifying force for the entire nation. This was a golden age of commerce, culture, and art on the East African coast. But the winds of change were blowing from a new direction. In the late 15th century, Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama rounded the Cape of Good Hope, marking the arrival of Europeans. The Portuguese sought to control the lucrative Indian Ocean trade routes, leading to centuries of conflict with the Swahili city-states. They built imposing fortresses like Fort Jesus in Mombasa, a stark symbol of their military power and a reminder of a turbulent period of conquest and resistance. By the late 19th century, the scramble for Africa was in full swing, and Britain had its eyes on East Africa. In 1895, the region was declared the British East Africa Protectorate. To consolidate their control and open up the interior for trade and settlement, the British embarked on one of the most ambitious and notorious engineering projects of the era, the Uganda Railway. Starting from Mombasa, the railway line stretched over 1,000 kilometers into the interior, heading towards Lake Victoria. The construction was a monumental challenge. Workers, many of whom were brought from British India, faced treacherous terrain, harsh weather, and deadly diseases. They also encountered lions, most famously the man-eaters of Tsavo, which terrorized the construction camps. The project was so costly and dangerous that it was dubbed the Lunatic Line. But it was completed, forever changing the landscape and destiny of Kenya. The railway opened the fertile highlands to European settlers who established large-scale coffee and tea plantations. This led to the displacement of indigenous communities, particularly the Kikuyu and Maasai, from their ancestral lands. The seeds of resentment and conflict were sown. As the colonial administration tightened its grip, so did the resistance. Throughout the early 20th century, Kenyans organized protests and political movements to demand their rights and their land back. But the most significant and intense struggle for freedom was the Mau Mau uprising. Beginning in 1952, the Mau Mau movement, primarily composed of members of the Kikuyu tribe, launched a guerrilla war against the British colonial government and white settlers. It was a brutal and complex conflict. The British responded with overwhelming force, declaring a state of emergency, and detaining tens of thousands of Kenyans in concentration camps, where they faced torture and abuse. The Mau Mau fighters, hiding in the forests of the Aberdare Mountains and Mount Kenya, fought fiercely for land and freedom. Though the military rebellion was eventually suppressed, the Mau Mau uprising was a critical turning point. It shattered the myth of benevolent colonialism and drew international attention to the injustices happening in Kenya. The sheer cost of the conflict, both in lives and resources, made it clear to Britain that its colonial rule was no longer sustainable. The fight for freedom had ignited a fire that could not be extinguished. One of the key figures arrested and imprisoned during the emergency was Jomo Kenyatta. A prominent nationalist leader who had studied in London, Kenyatta became a symbol of the independence struggle. While he denied being a leader of the Mau Mau, his imprisonment only elevated his status as a national hero. Finally, after years of struggle, negotiation, and sacrifice, the moment arrived. On December 12, 1963, the flag of the United Kingdom was lowered for the last time, and the new black, red, and green flag of Kenya was raised high. A wave of euphoria swept across the nation. Jomo Kenyatta was released from prison and became the first Prime Minister, and a year later, the first President of the Republic of Kenya. His famous call for Harambee, a Swahili word meaning pulling together, became the national motto, urging Kenyans of all backgrounds to unite and build their new nation. The post-independence era was a time of great hope and challenge. Under Kenyatta's leadership, Kenya pursued a path of capitalism and maintained close ties with the West. The economy grew, particularly in agriculture and tourism. However, the country also faced issues of land distribution, tribalism, and political consolidation. After Kenyatta's death in 1978, Daniel Arap Moi took over, ruling for 24 years. His tenure saw a mix of stability and political repression. But the Kenyan spirit of resilience and demand for democracy never faded. In the early 1990s, widespread protests led to the reintroduction of multi-party politics. The 2002 election marked a peaceful transition of power, a testament to the nation's maturing democracy. Today, modern Kenya is a dynamic and vibrant country, a regional powerhouse in East Africa. Its economy is one of the most diverse on the continent, with booming sectors in technology, finance, and telecommunications. Nairobi, its capital, is a bustling cosmopolitan hub, home to international organizations and a thriving tech scene known as the Silicon Savannah. But Kenya has never forgotten its roots. The nation's cultural heritage is a source of immense pride, from the iconic red-robed Maasai warriors to the intricate beadwork and powerful music and dance traditions. Kenya's culture is a spectacular mosaic. The country is also a global leader in wildlife conservation, protecting its world-famous national parks and reserves like the Maasai Mara and Amboseli, which are home to the Big Five and the incredible Great Wildebeest Migration. Kenya's story is one of incredible resilience. From the dawn of humankind to a thriving modern republic, it's a nation that has overcome immense challenges to forge its own destiny. It is a story of ancient civilizations, fierce resistance, and a unifying spirit of Harambee. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through Kenya's history. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories from around our amazing world. See you next time.